Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stigma-Free Society Wellness Chats with Nisha. My name is Nisha Kare. I'm the co-founder of Human Biography and Women of Wonder. I'm a director, producer, and a registered clinical counselor. So through this Facebook Live event, I'm representing the Stigma-Free Society. They are a Canadian registered charity that aims to reduce stigma of all kinds and focus on mental health. So they promote mental wellness education for youth, and they provide resources for educators, school counselors, parents, and guardians. So the Society's goal is really to create awareness of the various stigmas that exist in the world and develop an understanding of the challenges that numerous people face and encourage people to foster acceptance of themselves and of others. So to learn more about the Stigma-Free Society, please visit at stigmafreesociety.com. And so today I am very happy to welcome our guest. Here we go. We have Vanessa Sharma. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you.
Great to have you here. I would love for you to share with everyone a little bit, tell us about yourself. Tell us about you and your personal mental health journey.
Okay, so 21, growing up, I never really thought I had any trauma to work through, even though I obviously had gone through trauma. And it was kind of one of those things where you just don't deal with it, just throw it under the rug. Like it's fine. Like you just deal with it on your own. And times like that, I wish I had had an older sibling to like sit me down and talk me through it and be like, no, like if you want help, go get the help that you needed. And I feel like that was probably the hardest part, is that I just didn't have an older sibling. Like I had aunts and cousins and uncles and whatnot, but it wasn't the same as having an older sibling where you could share everything with. So now being in my early 20s, I realized that no, like it's okay to not be okay. Like you can have those days where you just want to stay in bed and not do anything, and that's fine. And mental health comes first before anything. And, I try to teach that to my younger brother. I'd be like, it's okay. Like we don't have to do anything today. Like if you don't want to do your schoolwork today, that's fine. If you just want to stay in bed all day, that's also fine. No one expects you to like be perfect and have a brave face on every single day. So it's one of the things that I've personally starting to work through.
Yeah, that's really valuable. And so when did you start noticing that it's something important in your life, and how did you first start to like work with, helping with your mental health, and how did it change?
It was right after when my mom had passed away. So she had gone missing in February, and then she was later found in April. Then soon after that, like a week later, we had her funeral, and then it was Mother's Day. And then after that, like I never really dealt with any of it. I kind of just went on with my life, kind of just dealt with it by myself. Never really talked about it. And it wasn't until my brother had said to me, it's like, I don't know how to talk to you. I want to be able to talk to you, and I don't know how because you seem like you're okay. And he's like, but I know you're not okay. And he's like, I need you to be okay. He's like, I need you to be around for a very long time. He's like, I need you. So I was like, okay, let me take a step back, reevaluate what's going on, and just try to work through my trauma and the issues that I have. And I had tried counseling, and it was nothing really wrong with against the counsel. Like we got along great. It was just personally for me that counseling is just not for me. So that's when I had started my blog. My blog turned into like an outlet for me to work through these things and talk about them in case anyone else had ever had to go through what we have gone through. And I feel like it's important to share on those situations because I feel like not a lot of people share it, especially in the South Asian community. It's not talked about at all. And I wish it was talked about more. And that's really kind of how it all started.
What do you think it is with the South Asian community? Because I agree, I think that mental health isn't spoken about a lot, or or people aren't encouraged necessarily to get help or get a counselor or talk to someone about what's going on with them. Um, why do you think that is?
I think it's just that old school mentality that if you would come forward about your feelings, come forward about things that you need for your mental health, that might bring shame upon your family. You should be strong, especially being the firstborn. You need to be the backbone. You need to be strong for everybody else in the family. And you can never show that you're not okay. And I feel like that's where it all comes from. It's just that old school mentality. And I'm grateful because my dad and my mom as well were never like that. They're like, if you need help, we'll get you the help. But it was just still like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm okay. But now after everything, my dad, to both of us, he's like, if you want counseling, go to counseling. He's like, if you need to talk to somebody, go and like do what you guys need to do to be okay. And I'm grateful for that because I know not a lot of people have that in their life. Their parents aren't like that, and they're still have that old school mentality and haven't adapted to newer times. So I'm grateful that my parents had.
No, that's it's super important, I think, and it's a big reason why Stigma-Free Society exists. It just helps support people to like have conversations, to normalize, when we have mental health challenges, that's just something everyone goes through. So
Yeah.
let's not hide it. And you were talking about you have a blog and a podcast, and you have your social media accounts, and you speak up about mental health and wellness. Um, maybe tell us a bit about what got you to like just go for it, to like start them and really have an impact in those areas.
I've always written for fun, but it wasn't until one night like, I had a conversation with my boyfriend. He's like, you know what, just do it. He's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And if no one reads it, no one reads it. He's like, you're doing it for you, just do it. So I sat down one day with him and I did the first one. And I was like, you know what, this feels really, really good. And then I did a question box on Instagram. I was like, if I had to start a podcast, what would you want to hear from me? And the number one thing that I got was grief. How do you deal with grief? How do you stay positive? How is your mental health now? And how are you taking care of yourself? That was the number one thing that I got. And I had said to him, I'm like, you know what? It's not just me that's going through grief. Everybody goes through grief and they deal with it in their own way. But a lot of times people had dealt with it the way that I was doing it alone and not really registering my feelings. I would just shove it under the rug and be like, okay, it's just another thing that had happened. We just got to move on and work through the day. But I'm like now realizing that's not the case. It's one of those things that you can't just shove it under the rug and you have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, because as much as you want to shove something under the rug, it's still under the rug. It's still there. So you're going to be like walking on it. It's going to be lumpy. There's going to be things around, and it's going to impact your life. So maybe you can tell us a bit about like the title of your blog or your podcast, and
Yeah. So it's called the NV experience. And NV comes from my mom's name and mine together. So her name is Nirla and Vanessa. So that's where I got NV. And the experience part comes from it's that part. It's like all the experiences that you go through makes you a person. That's what makes you you. That's what makes up your personality. That's what makes you who you are. It's what you've been through. And I'd like try to tell my brother and my younger cousins, it's not how you go through it, it's how you deal with it that is going to be the positive outcome. I mean, if it takes you 5-10 years, it takes you 5-10 years. There's no one that's going to tell you how you should deal with things and what the time frame is, because I feel like everyone deals with things at their own pace. And that is another thing that I feel like it's oftentimes forgotten is when like when I talk to like friends or whatever, I'm like, yeah, like I got over this in so amount of time. And then that kind of clicks. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should get over it quickly. But that's not the case. I mean, it takes you as long as it takes you.
yeah, no, of course. And Vanessa, maybe you could share with our viewers a bit about, your experience in grief and the lot, like losing your mom, and how that journey was. and how it impacted you.
It was a long journey. I mean, she went missing on February, and up until April, I think I was doing like at least 4 interviews a day, if that. And we would put up posters everywhere, looking every single day, me and my friends and my family, every single day. And then in that time, my grandpa had been in the hospital. So we were going back and forth. And I don't think any of us slept for 9 weeks. And then the night that it happened, I remember like it was yesterday, my brother and I had ordered McDonald's, and the police showed up at our door. And right then and there, as soon as I came downstairs and I saw the police officers, I knew that they had found her. So I took my brother upstairs, and they sat us down, told us, and they had left. And I told my brother, she's not here, because he had asked, is she going to come home? And I said, no, like she's not coming home. After that, I think I went into full like fight mode. I went and told my uncle next door. After that, we had gone to my grandparents, consoled them, and then we went straight to my dad. And then I came home. And then the next day, it was like, okay, what do we need to do now? We need to prep the funeral. And even then, I was arguing with them, saying, I need to see her beforehand. I'm like, I need to see her. I need to know that it's her before we go through this. And I told them that I'm not going to have a funeral for someone that I don't think is my mom. They had taken my DNA before and then matched that to her, and it was a 99.9% match. But even then, there was still that part of me that I can't get closure unless I see her. So the only way to do that was on the day of the funeral. So 5-10 minutes before the funeral, I had seen her and identified her, signed the piece of paper that says, yes, this is her. And then we had the funeral. And I remember like I came out from the funeral home before the funeral had even started, and it was my boyfriend, my best friend, and my brother standing right outside those doors. And they looked at me and said, you look like you just saw a ghost. Like, are you okay? Like, do you need a moment? Do you want to step outside? And I said, no, there's people showing up. We need to get this funeral done. And that's exactly what we did. And even after that, they're like, are you okay? Like, what did you see? And I'm like, I don't think I'm ready to talk about it. Let's just continue on and do whatever we need to get done. Even now, like before then, I had nightmares and I had insomnia. I could not sleep. And, even now, like my brother tells me, it's like, I wish I'd gone in and seen her with you so you don't have to deal with that by yourself. And I'm like, but here's the thing, that stays with you for life. That image never goes away. Seeing your parent after 9 weeks of them being in the water for that long. And, I told them, like, I wanted you to remember her how the last time we saw her. I didn't want you remembering her the way that I do now. And, it's one of those things where you don't want to talk about it because you don't know how to talk about it, because you don't know who else has gone through that. And I don't wish that on anybody, And for that first couple of months, I couldn't sleep. I think I got like an hour or 2 of sleep a day, if that, maybe. And then I went back to work, and keeping busy all day, if I work a 9 to 5, helped. I didn't think about it, wasn't on my mind until I had to go to sleep. And that was the most troubling part. I'm like, I need some sleep. And that's when I started seeing my counselor. And then I was like, this is not for me. Like, this is just not working. This is bringing up a lot of old stuff that I don't know if I'm ready to talk about right now. And I don't want to do this anymore. So that's when I had started the blog. And I got out all my feelings at once, made sure it was all proper English, and then I had posted it. And after that, it was like an instant relief. I'm like, that made me feel 10 times better than any counseling session had ever done. And now today, I still have like blog posts that I haven't posted, that I'm like, should I post this? Is this what people want to hear from me? And then now I just have to go and I have to hit that button. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? People don't read it. It's fine. It's helping me at the end of the day. And another thing that has helped is just journaling whenever I feel really anxious, or I feel like I'm getting really, really sad and I just don't want to talk to anybody, don't want to see anybody. I sit down, I take half an hour, 45 minutes to myself, and I just journal. I just let out whatever feelings I have. And I feel like I wish I had known about that a lot sooner, because it helps. Like, I'm not a type of person to talk about my feelings at all. Like, I'm just not that type of person. But just writing it out has made a big, big difference for me.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because, maybe having a blog or a podcast isn't for everyone,
Yeah.
but everyone can express their feelings and release what's within them through journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling is very straightforward, right? You can take a piece of paper, you can take a book, and you just get a pen or a
Yeah.
pencil and you just write, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
stream of consciousness, whatever comes in your mind, write. You don't worry about grammar, you don't worry about proper printing, no one's looking at it, right? It's just writing, and whatever comes out, and write as long as you need, and then that's it, right? It's very cathartic. It really helps release a lot, I think. And I like that you said, even that you wish you had known this sooner. And I remember when I was young, my mom gave me a diary,
Yeah.
a little lock and key, and said, just start writing whatever you want in here. And I have like piles of diaries that I've had over the years because it actually works. It
It
helps.
does. It does.
Yeah. So I love that you have that, and that you're sharing your experience with people. So, you said it like helps you, and maybe you could tell us a bit about even how you're seeing it help other people.
Yeah. So I've noticed a big difference, like not just in myself, but I've gotten now my brother to start journaling as well. And he's come and said to me, he's like, I'm not as anxious. I don't feel as stressed out. He's like, every time I get anxiety, I get really, really stressed and I get mad. He's like, I don't feel like I'm doing that anymore. He's like, even if I'm not ready to talk to you about it, he's like, I know I can just write it out and I feel better. Like it helps. And, I've told like other people in my family, and I'm like, start journaling. I'm like, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You talk to yourself every day anyways. You might as well get your feelings out at the same time. And, and I feel like that's the biggest part. Like people are like, oh, what if someone sees it? Put it somewhere where only you know where it is, not no one's going to see it. And I'm like, that's the fear that I feel like some people kind of have. It's like, well, if someone sees it, they're going to know all my deepest, darkest secrets. Like they'll know what's going through. I'm like, that's not the case. I'm like, you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for anybody else. I'm like, if you were doing it for somebody else, you would have published about 10 books by now. You're doing it for you, nobody else.
Yeah. It's wonderful to see that you're encouraging your brother as well, because I think in the South Asian community, or all communities really, that sometimes it might be hard for men to express how they're feeling, or write out what they're feeling, or take that time to reflect. And yet it's important for all of us.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And, you have this experience of losing your mom, but first it was that your mom was missing for 9 weeks until the police told you they found her. And for you, there's just so much grief in, first of all, the having someone missing, and then searching, and then having that loss. And how has that been for you? Do you find that you are on a path of healing now, or is there something still missing?
I feel like there will always be a part missing. I mean, especially in those big moments that you think about. Like one day I'm going to get married and she's not going to walk me down the aisle, and she's not going to help me pick out my wedding outfit. She won't be there for all the birthdays, all the anniversaries, if I have kids, big things like that, she won't be there for. And I think that's when it starts to hit me, I lost my mom. She's not going to be here. But one thing that I have comfort in is I smell roses everywhere I go. It doesn't matter where I am, I smell roses. And that was her favorite flowers, roses. So I had contacted someone, I wouldn't say a medium, but she's more spiritual. And she's like, there's a specific scent that I can't put my finger on that is around you 24/7. She's like, sometimes you're the only person that can smell. And I'm like, well, that's roses. I smell roses everywhere I go.
Wow.
And she's like, yeah, every time you feel it, every time you smell it, she's there with you. And she's like, every time if you feel your left shoulder itch, that's her trying to console you. That's her trying to touch you. And I'm like, that's so wild, because I've itched my left shoulder so much that I've got eczema there now. So it's just one of those things. And that's the most comforting part, is that I know that she's still here with me, but she's just not here in the way that I wish she was.
Yeah. Wow. What, in addition to journaling and your blog, what else have been some impactful tools or strategies that you've used to help support your mental health or your well-being?
Trying to get outside, like even if it's not just for a walk, just sitting outside makes a huge difference. Like I remember in the first couple months, like I wouldn't get out of bed, and if I did get out of bed, I'd stay in the house. I wouldn't want to go anywhere. I wouldn't want to leave. But just being outside, I feel like has helped a lot. I mean, it helped a lot more than I think I really even knew.
Yeah, nature is a huge part of just helping one feel better every day. And I think even if you don't, like, for some people with depression and things, it might be hard to get outside, but and go for a walk. But just to go, just start with, like, even saying, I'll just spend 2 minutes outside.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, slowly increase it and slowly increase it. And what advice would you have if you were going to give, someone struggling with their mental health right now? What would you say to them?
I would let them know that they're not alone. And that's my whole thing. Like, you are not alone. And that every day that you get up, you get out of bed is a good day. Regardless if you don't do anything all day, that's fine. You got up, you got out of bed, and that's the biggest part, and that it does get better with time. Of course, that's always still going to be with you, but eventually it gets better. And that's also kind of why I started the blog, is just to let people know that they have a friend, and that if they're younger than me, they do have an older sibling. And I feel like that's very important, just to know that you aren't alone, and that you do have people that care about you, even if it's a complete stranger, that there is someone on the other side, that it will be there for you if you need it.
It's a very lovely sentiment and a lovely way of thinking. And it's, I think, just for people to know that really helps, I think, too, right? That we all do go through these things. We all have loss in our life and grief, and especially reflecting on this past year with COVID.
Yeah.
People have gone through a lot in terms of grief, and maybe not even realizing how much it causes pain in things like loss of friends because you can't see them, or loss of work, loss of community, safety, all these things. So I think all of that is all part of grief, right? And that we go through the same cycles of the denial or anger or sadness. And but I love that you're saying that, for people to know that people are here for them.
Yeah.
Stigma-Free Society is here for them.
Exactly.
Here for them, right? Like it's like we can create support and community still. And
yeah, I feel like that's so important, especially because you're right, because of COVID, and a lot of people probably are feeling really alone. Yeah. And they aren't allowed, can't see can't do their day-to-day routines, can't see their daily friend group, and it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, so hard and isolating, and but like now more than ever, it's important for people, and even in loss with, like you're saying, you lost your mom. Right now, it's hard. Like before, let's say even in Indian community, if there was loss, everyone comes together. And now it's like you can't even come together with people. It's that everyone kind of just has to be separate and stay apart. And so it's just like a different way of operating. But I love, what you're saying is even strengthen within, strengthen yourself, and kind of like, how has it been for you, like creating this judgment-free space online for others to connect with you? And as you share your story, how has this impacted your own mental health?
I mean, it feels good, and in that sense that where I know I'm not alone. And sometimes, like, I have those days where I feel like I'm completely alone. No one knows how I'm feeling. But then, there's the other side where there are people who are reading. And, that's the funny thing. I didn't even realize that anyone was reading until my boyfriend's cousin had FaceTimed him, and he lives in the UK, and he's like, oh, was Vanessa there? I want to talk to her. And I was like, oh, no. Now, what did I do? And he was like, like, I read your blog. Like, I really like it. And I was like, you read it? You do? And he was like, yeah, like we all do. And I was like, whoa. And it was like one of those, like, it was like one of those full circle moments, it's like where I was just thinking of my mom, and I was like, oh my God, like I wish I had done this when she was still around, and it just reassures me that I know I'm not alone, and that makes me feel better that people that wherever they are know that they aren't alone as well.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a community almost.
Yeah. See, community it just brings so much happiness, right? It can make you feel supported, and so this community, like what does it do for you? What does community, like what does it do for you by having this community? How does it make you feel? How do you think people within the community feel?
I feel like it gives me an extra boost of strength. Like I've always been told that I've been just a very strong individual, but just having a good group of people around you uplifts you so much more than you could ever realize. And I feel like a lot of people don't have that. They don't have a community that they know that, what, this amount of people, you are loved by them, and they feel like, I have to do it on my own. I have to do it on my own. But that's not the case. There are different groups, and there are like a bunch of people that want to be around you. They want to uplift you. They want to give you that daily dose of support. And like, you're doing great today. Even if no one's told you it, like you look good today. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just, you just can't get enough of it. And once you have it, you just don't ever want to let it go.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's wonderful that you've created this not only for yourself, but for others. And maybe you can tell us a bit about like what's next for you on the horizon, and also where can our viewers find your work, your blog, your podcast, etc.
So I think the next part would be getting my episodes out. Like I don't have any episodes out on my podcast yet. But I do have some taped, and I think that would be the next episode, actually pushing that wedding and letting it be out there. But my blog is just the nvexperience.net, and the link is also in the bio of my Instagram, which is just nvexperience, and it's also in the link of my personal Instagram, which is it's Vanessa Sharman. So it's everything will be just in those links there.
And then what are some things people can find on your blog? Like what are some things you write about, Vanessa?
So I've been writing about how my experience was going back to counseling that first Christmas where they're not there, and you're just dealing around with the holidays and the first year. How do you feel after the first year and everything that you've kind of gone through? But as on the other side of that, I've kind of talked about like, how do you figure out your logo? Like, what is your logo? What does it mean? And I kind of write about there, like if you're going to start something, it should have meaning behind it. It should tell a story because it's you are creating that. Then there should be an important story behind that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So please, everyone, follow along with Vanessa's journey and also know that you aren't alone, and that whatever you're going through, as a collective, as humans, we all go through things, but if we can be there for each other and support each other, that's where the real, community can be built and support can be found. So just want to say thank you so much, Vanessa, for being here today and sharing your story and sharing your ups and your downs. And we just really appreciate that. And we hope to, see more from you and continue to see you create your beautiful community.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. And we will see you back for Wellness Chats with Nisha in 2 weeks, in 2 Thursdays from now. So everyone, please take care and much love to you all. Have an amazing day.
Bye.
Bye.